Welcome to Folk It, episode 24. We are returning back to our very serious conversation we're having about influence ops online, especially as they relate to generative AI. And if you recall, we were talking about running our own influence campaign to pop the Gen AI bubble, which is a good idea, but we're just speaking hypothetically here. In order to explore the ideas and maybe think a little bit more about, how influence happens online, how to protect ourselves from it, protect our brain, remember, and see it from the other perspective so that we can recognize it when it's happening to us. But all that aside, let's pretend for real like we're going to do it. And recall three-pronged strategy last time. Three-legged stool we're working on. One, there's going to be a drumbeat of our messaging for generative AI is not very useful. It sucks, uses too much water. We don't like generative AI. It's a bubble. Our messaging should be a drumbeat everywhere, all at the same time, just like the movie. And we build a mechanism like machinery that we can use that machine later on. And when opportunity strikes, when we get a favorable story, we have the machinery in place to put our message out there. That's one, drumbeat. Two, we want to influence influencers. We want people who are big accounts, who have a lot of followers on our side, who will spread our best messages. So that drumbeat is going every day, right? But we're refining our best messages, our best emotional appeals, the ones that resonate the most. And we want our influencer accounts, our big ones, to put those out because, we can't waste the influencers on the substandard messaging. So we have these smaller accounts that we work during everyday routines. And in that machinery building, we use it to beta test our messaging, to, work on improving and refining and coming up with the stuff that is the hardest to refute, the one that resonates the most, and we get those to our big influencer accounts. But that begs the question, how do we even get influencers? How do we influence them? Like this is a longer term play a lot of times where we want to convince journalists. Journalists are big targets. I don't know that journalists all understand how big of targets they are. If you're like me, if you know how to influence people online, you know their target and you know they're online a lot and you know their job is to, evaluate both sides of arguments. Like you can confuse journalists. So they've got a target on their back and they don't even know it. So that's one. We're not going to go after a journalist today, though. But just keeping in mind that we may want to target some of those in the future. Two, but there's other types. There's celebrities. There's, in this case, billionaires, because I want to go after a billionaire. There's so many tech billionaires that we talk about that are, these bad guys in our generative AI model. Not necessarily all the time bad guys, but they're our opposition. They're pushing AI on us, and we're fighting back and saying, burst this bubble. So in this case, I want to go after Mark Cuban, and I'm going to dive into that next. But number three, so the third leg of our stool, third prong of our attack is going to be owning search, which is interesting now because search is both Google and it's the AI tools themselves. And we've seen if we can get articles out there by our influencers potentially, by academics who have, published research, articles can help support and infiltrate our search engines and our AI search tools. Here's what we're going to do with Mark Cuban. Um, Mark Cuban, he put out a post on Blue Sky where he does these rapid fire things. He's on Blue Sky, he's on Threads, he's on X. He seems like he's on X a lot. He's online a lot. I see him in Facebook. He shows up, everywhere. Sometimes Instagram potentially even because he's got Dallas Mavericks interests. Great, Great team. I love the Dallas Mavericks. So I think if we go after Mark Cuban, even going to tell him we're going after Mark Cuban. I'll tag him in this post. He's not going to pay attention to my little podcast, but it doesn't matter if we tell him or not because Mark Cuban, he put out this thread where it's rapid fire. He's pro AI and he's talking about AI is great and it's helping his company and it's helping his business. It was full of logical fallacies and flaws and a lack of understanding in the technology. But when somebody's rapid firing stuff like that online, you can't argue against them, right? Like we're arguing against him in real time, and he's only going to cherry pick the answers he's going to reply to. That's not what we want to do. We want to flood Mark Cuban with our information on every platform he lives in. We want to coordinate this. So we're going to have a bunch of us and organically a bunch of people who all band together and say, you know what? We don't like Gen AI. We think it's a bubble and we want to combat this bad information that Mark Cuban has and get him on our team. Every place that Mark Cuban is online, we're going to reply in the comments, including X. Book it.